Over 50 years have passed since Kibbutz Tzuba was founded, not far from the remains of a biblical town. Its 250 members and their families live from industry, agriculture, and tourism. It was a huge surprise when members of the kibbutz heard that a seemingly innocent cave in a wadi next to a kibbutz orchard was hiding an exciting story that began almost 3,000 years ago. Let us join in the quest for the cave of John the Baptist. Kibbutz Tzuba is situated 15 kilometers to the west of Jerusalem and 5 kilometers distance from Ein Karim, which was the traditional birthplace of John the Baptist. Here, within the spectacular landscape, among fruit trees, the cave was found. To understand the meaning of the findings and their significance, we must first go back in history to the 8th century before the Common Era. During the Iron Age, and until the 6th century before the Common Era, Tzuba was a town located in the Kingdom of Judah. At that time, rainwater flowing down the valley was caught by a dam and then collected within an underground reservoir. The cave was hewn out of rock, and its walls were plastered. It was part of a gigantic water system named in ancient Hebrew as an Ashoach. The water that collected in the cave was evidently drawn through a shaft in its ceiling and subsequently allowed to flow to external pools that were also hewn into the rock. These pools appear to have been used for the production of clay. The water was then returned to the underground reservoir. In the corridor leading to the shaft were 8 upright slabs of stone. These may have been used as part of the water lifting device, or alternatively, as ritualistic matzevot, standing stones which were very common at the time of the Israelites. After the destruction of the first temple in the year 586 before the Common Era, and the exile of the Jews to Babylonia, the cave was abandoned and became filled with layers of mud and stones. The town of Tzuba was rebuilt during the Second Temple period, at the time of Herod the Great. The cave was subsequently used as a Jewish ritual bathing pool, mikveh. However, unlike other ritual pools, the activities performed here were unique and different. Thousands of broken vessels were found arranged in stone circles, and a rock was discovered with a depression in its surface in the shape of a human foot. Undoubtedly, strange water ritual rites were undertaken at the cave at the time of John the Baptist. Following the destruction of the Second Temple in the year 70 of the Common Era, the cave continued to be used until the 2nd century in the Common Era, when the cave was abandoned and filled with mud to the height of the entrance. When the cave was examined by archaeologist Dr. Shimon Gibson in the winter of 1999, he found mysterious drawings incised into the plaster. These could be dated to the Byzantine period, to the 4th or 5th centuries of the Common Era.
It was an amazing discovery. It took place in the winter of 1999. I was doing an archaeological survey in the area and I saw these bushes. I crawled behind the bushes. I saw an opening of a cave. The cave had been known by kibbutz members, but for me this was the first time I'd been in. It was covered with boulders and stones. I went inside and I looked behind the boulders and I could see the head of John the Baptist, a drawing incised into the wall, emerging. And it was the most exciting discovery of my life. And that started the archaeological project.
The drawings were undoubtedly part of a ceremony that was held by Christian monks inside the cave to remember John the Baptist. How do we know this? Let's go over the drawings. The figure of John the Baptist has lines above the head, representing a cap, or perhaps a halo. The eyes are damaged. The arms are held up in the gesture of prayer, and in his left arm we see a shepherd's staff. The figure is shown wearing a belt and a dotted garment which represents animal hair. Below the figure we can see a niche that was used to hold a relic. On the right, we can also see the shape of an animal, perhaps the symbol of a lamb. The drawn figure of John the Baptist was originally based on the image of the prophet Elijah. as was described in the second book of Kings, chapter 1, verses 8 and 9. They replied, "He was a man with a garment of hair, and with a leather belt round his waist." The king said, "This was Elijah the Tishbite." This is also how John is depicted in Christian tradition, holding a staff in one hand and with a lamb by his side. It seems very clear that the figure incised here is that of John the Baptist. The next image, located on the opposite wall, is round, actually representing a face, with oval eyes and a nose. This is a decapitated head of John the Baptist, as was written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 14. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for Herod and his guests. She pleased Herod very much, so he promised with an oath to give her anything she asked for. Her mother told her what to say, so the girl said to Herod, "Give me the head of John the Baptist on a big plate." Herod had John's head cut off in the prison. His head was brought in on a big plate and given to the girl. Many churches in Mediterranean countries claim to hold the relic head of John the Baptist. The image of an upraised arm is also connected to the tradition of John, when his grave was desecrated and his bones scattered. The relic arm of John was found by monks, and relics of it are shown in many churches. A drawing exists of John's staff, shown as a T-shaped cross with two semicircular lines, resembling the snakes on the staff of Hermes, who was himself a messenger. This perhaps illustrates John's role as the forerunner of the Messiah. 3 crosses are shown, and these clearly represent the symbol of the crucifixion of Jesus and of the 2 thieves at his side. Above one, you can make out a diagonal line, perhaps a schematic symbol of the dove, representing the Holy Spirit. Matthew chapter 3, verse 16. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting on him. During the 5th or 6th centuries, in the Common Era, the cave was adopted by Christian monks, apparently from the nearby monastery of St. John at Ein Karim, and they held memorial ceremonies here for John. They incised the astonishing set of drawings seen on the walls of the cave. These are the earliest drawings associated with John the Baptist that have been found in the Middle East. The cave was finally abandoned in the 11th century, not long before the arrival of the Crusaders, and thereafter the cave came to be completely forgotten. This set of circumstances allowed for the remarkable preservation of these archaeological finds for posterity. And now we shall go into the cave and see it for ourselves.